Welcome to Write Now Workshop Podcast, where you can write a book and change the world. I'm your host, Kitty Bucholtz, and this is episode 278. First Things First, an encouraging words episode coming to you on Sunday, December 12th, 2021. It is almost the end of the year. So many things on my mind. I don't know, you probably are feeling the same. I always am thinking about a lot of things at the end of the year, particularly in December. Thinking about Christmas and what do I want to do, to get ready for Christmas? What do I want to do during the Christmas and New Year's holiday period? Also, getting decorations up. And it is snowing outside right now as I record this. So I was like, okay, I just want to do sort of a episode in front of the fireplace, but it'll be the episode in front of the Christmas tree. So if you're not watching on YouTube, I've got the Christmas tree in the background. I'm actually sitting on the trampoline in the living room. Yes, that is where we keep it. We have a small apartment, and if we have the trampoline right here, we will actually exercise on it. So, yeah. Now I'm just adding to all the fun, weird stuff that is me. So we got snow outside, Christmas tree behind me. I'm sitting on the trampoline, I suppose, to remind myself that I should really do some more exercise on the trampoline today. But I'm also thinking about the end of the year and last year, or the year that we're currently in, this last year, and next year. So I think that as I approach the end of one year and the beginning of a new one, I think that it's healthy and good for us to take a step back and really look and see what was working and how do we want to make changes for the new year. So, for instance, Susie May Warren was here about 10 days ago on December 3rd, so two episodes ago, talking to us about value planning and how she plans out her year based on the things that are most important to her. So, of course, I've been thinking about that a lot since we talked. And I also use My Brilliant Writing Planner, which she talked about during the episode. I love this planner. And it kind of takes all of my writing stuff and all of my life and keeps it all in one spot. So that, I don't know about you, but sometimes I compartmentalize and then I forget about something that's happening in a different part of my life because it isn't on like my writing planner, or I forget about a writing deadline that like I missed a blog post that was due a couple of days ago. Oops, because it was on the one calendar I was looking at and it wasn't on the other calendar I was looking at. So if I used My Brilliant Writing Planner to its absolute maximum benefit, maybe I would probably even not forget anything. I don't know about that. But it's got me thinking because there's a section at the front of each planner that talks about looking back at the past year. So if you're looking at this, in December or January, it's this past year. And it asks you questions like what went well, what didn't go well, what did you do that you loved, what did you have to do that you hated, things like that. And then you take this information and you use it to inform the decisions that you make for planning out the next year. And as much as I hate to admit it, and I really thought that I could make this work, but over the last 24 months, I have found that no matter how much I want to try to get every single thing done on my "this is what I want my life to be" list, and no matter how many different ways that I change things around, did things at different times of the day in order to maximize my efficiency for like when I have the most energy. No matter if I put everything together in blocks, so I spend several hours working on a whole bunch of podcast episodes in a row, and then several hours working on a whole bunch of writing stuff, and then several hours on whole bunch of marketing stuff. Like no matter how I arranged and rearranged my schedule, I even gave myself, probably a year of working 6 days a week thinking, okay, but if I was doing stuff I loved and I worked for 6 days a week, then it wouldn't really feel like work, right? Well, remember those questions that are in Susie May's planner. What things did you do that you liked and what things did you do that you didn't like? And there's always something that this is not my most fun part of work. I mean, that's true for everyone, no matter how much you like your job. But one of the things I would go so far as to say the number one thing that I disliked about my last year, and in fact, my last 2 years, was that I just wasn't ever truly relaxed and happy and at peace with the way that my life was going. Was working really, really, really hard because I didn't want to give up any of the things that I enjoyed. So my business has been made up of three parts for the last 4 years, and that is coaching and teaching, the podcast, and my writing. And I have to say that for the last 20 some years of my life, I have been absolutely convinced that one of the gifts that I've been given to use to make the world a better place, even if that just means making people happy and helping people have a good day by making them laugh or whatever, is my writing. And these last 2 years, my writing has not only fallen to third place, it's fallen to like 10th place. And it is probably one of the biggest reasons why I've been not as happy the last 2 years. I think it's probably one of the big reasons why I've been overstressed. Yes, I was working hard to build the foundation of a business that would last, but I wasn't actually doing probably, in my mind, the main thing that makes everything else make sense. I mean, for me, I'm a writing coach because I'm a writer and I understand writing and I love writing and the writing life, and I understand the problems that are inherent in being at the beginning or the middle or the end of a project. And I like personally understand the emotional, like the doubts and then the highs, and what happens when we are sharing our writing before it's time. What happens, like how does it feel when it is time to share our writing, and then we have to put it out there in the world. Like these are all the things that are my life, and I love, love, love all of these things so much. And so being a writing coach for me is just an extension of that. It's just helping somebody else to also have all of these lovely things that that they feel like somebody else understands. They've gone down this road before them. They know how it works. They can get me to the other side. Like that's why I love doing the coaching. And for the podcast, I love it because it's fun to me. It's fun for me to talk to you, to come up with ideas of things that I can share with you. I love interviewing all of our guests. I love helping them to dig into all the information that they have in their head about writing or the writing life, or sometimes I've brought people on to talk about how we can be healthier as writers. And I love that they, find these amazing, wonderful things to share with you so that your life can be better and go smoother, and that you can be a more productive writer, a more efficient writer, a happier and healthier writer. But what's been happening is that I haven't been a happier and healthier writer. And there were a lot of tears this week while I was trying to decide, am I really going to give up some piece? And it's not going to be the writing, absolutely. And I love the coaching, and it's not going to be that. So am I really going to give up my podcast? And I talked about it with several people and thought about it a lot, talked about it with God a lot, cried a lot. And here's the thing. If I keep on going, I am not going to just magically have more time. I have been, you may know that I have spent probably 15 of the last 20 some years teaching a time management and project management class to writers. I actually have not been teaching that class the last few years because I haven't had time, which is interesting. But there's a point at which you just have to say, I think I just have too many things on my plate. And no matter how much I love every single thing here, it's like eating Thanksgiving dinner and you put, like a really good sized portion of everything that you love on the plate. And then you decide that you are going to eat everything on the plate because you love all of them. And then the rest of the day you feel kind of sick because you totally overate. It's like that. Only then it's like, and the next day, I try to do it again, and I try to feel like this is my happy place, but it's not. And if I'm going to be a coach and a podcast friend who helps you with your writing career, then I either need to practice what I preach or come up with another new method of something that really does work. So again, so that I can practice that and preach that. Yeah, or else, why am I saying that I can give you advice if I'm not living the life that I'm trying to help you to live? So here's the thing. I am going to be on a semi-hiatus. Can I say that? Semi-hiatus starting in January of 2022. I am absolutely still going to do the Encouraging Words episodes. My plan is to do them once a month, but maybe more, because I love doing these Encouraging Words episodes. They make me happy, and I do get a lot of feedback from you that you love them. I have a few really cool interviews that I don't want to cancel. So sometimes there's just going to be a surprise episode that just randomly comes out of nowhere. And then I don't know how long the hiatus will last. I need to get back to my writing because I feel more me. I feel more Kitty when I'm writing, and I feel more happy when I'm writing. And my writing is so much better when I spend a lot more time on it. These last 2 years, I have worked a little bit at a time on a couple of different projects and haven't finished either of them because a little bit at a time just doesn't work for me. I haven't been able to make it happen in the way that I've been trying to do it. I'm not saying that you can't or that nobody can get writing done a little bit at a time. I mean, I wrote my first couple of books, I wrote a little at a time, but in a different situation where when I had time, my mind actually was on the writing. And now these last 2 years, even when I'm writing, my mind is on something else that has to be done today. So yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it. But I think this is the right thing to do. And I wanted to share it with you, of course, because I need to tell you what to expect from the podcast. So we still have 3 more regular full-length episodes for the next 3 Thursdays. And then, of course, we will have the Encouraging Words episode that's I normally say it's the first Sunday of the month, but this month, it's on the second Sunday because I was doing 1,000 things trying to get John ready for a work trip. And in January, it'll be on the second Sunday of the month because the first Sunday of the month is still part of our vacation. And I promised that I wasn't going to work on vacation for one of the first times ever. So after that, I will just be surprising you with an episode. And I will still do the monthly Encouraging Words. And the reason why I'm telling you this is not just to let you know, but because I want you to think about this last year and maybe these last 2 years, since the pandemic started. And just ask yourself, do you have the writing life that you wanted? Is there anything that is keeping you from writing that you could change? Like nobody's putting a gun to my head and saying I have to do a podcast. It's not like I make a living podcasting. So it's not like it's taking, money off the table, food off the table for my family. I love it, but I'm not really getting as much writing done. I'm really not very much writing at all. So is there anything else in your life? What are your values? Coming back around to Susie May's episode from 10 days ago. What are your values? What is the most important thing in your life? For me, it's God, and then John and other family and friends and relationships. And then mostly writing tends to be, like my third most important thing to me, but I haven't been acting like it. So the idea of planning for 2022 around the most important things in our lives, making sure that the most important things get done. That may or may not be the most urgent thing. And sometimes, those 2 things get switched around a little bit because they have to. But if the most important things in your life are constantly way down the list of what's actually, what you're actually spending time on, then that's something to look into. So when you look back at 2021 over the next few weeks, ask yourself, what did you love? What did you hate? What worked? What didn't work? And for me, when I look at what do I love and what didn't work, I had to make a really, really hard choice. So I've been podcasting for 4 years. It's not like I just started and quit. I do love it. I am good at it. But is there something that I'm even better at and I love even more that's missing out? Yes. Is that the case for you? There's just a lot of questions that only you can dig into the answers for. And, it may be a short conversation with yourself and you're like, oh, hey, or something that's been sort of nagging in the back of your mind, which honestly, this has been for months. Or, maybe it's something that you'll have to think about further into the future. It just depends on all the different things that you have going on in your life. And, the way that the world has thrown us a few curveballs and forced us to do parts of our lives differently than usual. And that's another thing. Maybe something is keeping you from your writing right now because it just can't be helped. Like, if you have an issue where you're homeschooling your kids and you never did before the pandemic or something, or, who knows what, it's your life, only you know. It could well be something that you just need to sort of get through. I would guess if you have a brand new baby, I hear lots of people saying that the first few years, the amount of writing that they got done wasn't so much. But after the child went to kindergarten, suddenly they had a half a day every day and started getting tons of writing done. So there's all sorts of things in our lives where it's just for a season, for a little bit of time. But for me and this particular issue, this particular decision, I really love writing, and I miss it. I miss that I'm not doing it very much, and I miss finishing books and putting them out into the world and hearing from readers, and these are things that are important to me, and therefore I need to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and focus on it. Now, it's super hard for me. You can probably tell from my voice. But that is why I wore a t-shirt, if you're watching on YouTube, because I have my "You Have More Power Than You Realize" t-shirt, which is kind of the tagline for my entire The Adventures of Lewis and Clark superhero series books. Because I do believe this. I do believe that God has put so many amazing things into us individually, into our lives, into our communities, into our family situations, our friends' situations. We really do have more power to change our lives, to change the world, to change how we feel about things than we realize. And the more that I learn about mindset and neuroscience and managing energy in the last year or two, wow. I mean, I've been able to see some really wonderful changes in my life and how I view the world, and how I know I am about ready to be really happy again, but I can't do it if I'm working a gazillion hours a week doing a lot of great things, but not doing the most important thing in my work life. And it does make me feel a little bit of a fraud, to say I'm a writer and I help writers in various ways with coaching and podcasting, but I'm not actually getting stuff done. I mean, that is a part of it. But honestly, it's because I'm just very unhappy. So, are you happy with the choices that you've made? Are you happy with the priorities that you've created in the last year or two? Because if you're not, be honest with yourself and ask yourself whether or not there is something that you can do about it. Maybe you'll decide that the things that you've been putting ahead of writing are because they are more valuable to you than writing. Like in the case of the homeschooling, you love your kids, you're going to take care of their needs first. And right now, maybe they have needs that, exceed the usual amount of time maybe that parenting takes. But I think that it's a really big and important question. And so I decided that should be our Encouraging Words episode for December. So I hope that you have a marvelous Christmas and holiday of whatever you celebrate. I hope that you love the weather wherever you are. It is snowing here, so I'm very, very happy. And I really hope that you stop and think about, what are the gifts that you've been given that make you feel really joyful and at peace, and this is the coolest thing ever. Because it may not be writing, in which case it's totally great if you put writing in its place. If in its place means at a lower priority than something else that actually is even more important to you. And for me, writing has been too low on the ladder for the last 2 years, so I need to put it in its place, and it's going to go back up to that number 3 spot in my life. And hopefully I am encouraging you then in your writing life by not doing the podcast regularly for a while. It's a little backwards, but that's my hope for you. So have a fantastic holiday, have a fantastic vacation, and there are 3 more weeks of wonderful episodes coming up before I start taking a little bit of a break, a little bit of a semi-hiatus, I'm going to call it. So, God bless you, I love you, and I'll talk to you again soon.